Hi, welcome to Infusion, the podcast. I'm comedian Chris Patrick, a.k.a. Self-Proclaimed Power Man, and I'm here with my co-host and significant other, one and only Rach.
Hey, guys, what's up?
Now, as you know, we live in Minnesota, and Minnesota has a seasonal real estate market, and we got our resident realtor here, Bruce Braun, and Bruce is going to tell us about some of the stress and some of the things we can do to help become homeowners. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be part here.
So me and Rach recently, we just bought a new car, and I got my credit checked, and it was a lot higher than I thought. I'm not going to say the number for security purposes, but those are some of the things we can do to become homeowners. What are other things you can do to become homeowners?
Number one is not buy a car before you make an application on your mortgage. Because that'll increase your debt-to-asset ratio, and then they're going to look at you like, you did what?
Okay, debt-to-asset ratio. What's that?
Well, it's just a ratio between what you owe
what you
make.
And what you make.
Right. And they look at that debt-to-asset ratio, and generally they want to make sure that you don't go over 40% of your income in order to own a home.
Okay, so with the market, like I said, we're in a seasonal market. Are we in a seller's market right now? Are we in a buyer's market?
Definitely in a seller's market. Generally, when you're looking at markets, you're looking at what is the absorption rate. In other words, every month, how many houses are sold based against how many houses that are on the market, how many sold. Mm-hmm. And generally in a balanced market, it'll be about 6 months. You'll have 6 months inventory. Today, we're lucky if we got 6 weeks inventory. It's that tight, and that's why homes are moving. And there's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that are taking place, with the market. One is going to be availability of the natural resources, in this case, wood. I recently purchased a lot with the idea of building a new home. So I had a quote of $257,000. Well, after I bought the lot, several weeks later, wood and prices of steel and construction went up almost 20%.
It did go up. My dad is building us a garden because of my migraines. I can't bend down all the way down to the ground, so my dad's building me a garden, and he couldn't believe it's just a little garden, just a high-rise garden, and it was $150 for that wood.
Well, you're paying $8 for 2x4.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So my $257,000 house went up to $310,000.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, it looks like I'm selling the lot.
So you're selling the lot, so you decided not to build?
Decided not to build it. And one of the concerns that I had, looking at the market, there's a lot of things that are taking place that are somewhat reminiscent of 2007, 2008, when we had the real estate market balloon go.
Yeah.
Pop.
Yep.
And when it popped, so did a lot of people's equity in their homes dropped anywhere from 30 to 35%. I didn't want to be in a position building this home for $310,000, and all of a sudden the real estate balloon goes pop. And that $310,000 all of a sudden now became, $230,000. Yet I still owed the balance of the mortgage of $310,000. I didn't want to be put in that position, so I thought I'm just kind of taking the safe route out. And I'm probably an ultra conservative in that regard. So now I'm looking for a motor coach. No.
Well, with the market, like you said, we're in a seller's market, but buying a house in the wintertime in Minnesota as opposed to buying a house now, because everybody's out trying to find something right now, because of course it's spring and it's not wintertime and stuff like that.
Well, you know what you're finding with the real estate market? It used to be much the same that you said. Well, it's a spring sales season, and it still, applies somewhat today. But because of the world that we live in now, that it's highly mobile, people stay in their homes less than 7 years. We got people coming and going. We've got an influx of migrants coming into the area. They need housing, and there's a lack of housing that's out there right now. And so what you're finding that we're actually more of an even market. I mean, it's not just the spring. Granted, the spring market is probably your number one market, followed by the fall market, which is your second best market as people get in before the winter sets in. Now, nobody likes to move when it's 30 below, but people still move.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we're talking about just Minnesota. Now, when we get into the other parts of the country, what are you finding there?
Don't go to California. That's one. Stay away from New York. It's really interesting. The population base has really changed, where they've actually lost some seats in California because people are leaving, and Texas has gained seats. Now, that affects the market too, as well. When you look at political factors in the marketplace, still account for maybe 15 to 20% of why people move.
Okay, well, one of the things with the market, we got to go on interest rates. What are the interest rates? Because I hear they're pretty low right now.
Well, they are, and that's really kind of an interesting caveat with the whole market, because while input costs have gone up, anywhere from 18 to 22%, interest rates have stayed relatively low. In fact, when I looked at interest rates, I could get a 15-year note for 2.5%. Now that generally balances out the cost. But again, it doesn't prevent any balloon popping, know. And when that happens, and the concern I've got right now is, the government's continuing to print a lot of money.
Yeah.
And realistically, it's fiat money. It's not based on anything. Yeah. And what happens when you print more money? The value of the dollar goes down. We're facing inflation. There's talk of inflationary times, and we're already seeing it. Go to the gas pump.
Yeah.
Now we're told that we're not going to tax the middle and low income people, but go to the gas pump. That's just one hidden tax.
Yeah.
Takes place. Look at the cost of commodities, though. Look at the cost of food. Look at the cost of traveling. Look at the cost of even renting. Is going up. Why? Because there's a lack of housing that's out there, and everybody gets really competitive. And again, these moratoriums that we have, on people leaving on being evicted, that's going to be lifting pretty soon, and then we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah.
So those are just hidden things and other factors that take place, when trying to buy a home. Now, does that mean be afraid of it? No, really, the whole idea with buying a home is you want to get into that buyer's circle. You want to get started, because when you're renting, you're buying a house.
Yeah.
You're just not buying your house. So I would just get out, it's an attitude thing. People are kind of, well, we're not just ready, you're ready right now because your money's going somewhere. And it actually, for me, when I got into the industry as an owner, I used my home and I rented out half of it. Now, I rented it out with the intention of living on the top half and renting out the bottom half.
Sure.
But I had somebody come by and said, we will pay X amount of dollars for the upper half. I said, oh, cool. I like basements. And so I would really still advise people that, to do what you can to get into the buyer's market. Try to save some money.
Yeah.
No, really, I'm seeing something else in the buyer's market, right? I'm seeing like B's and B&B's, right?
There's more, bed and breakfasts that are taking place. But again, you got to have a bed and breakfast to own.
Yeah.
And any way you can find, you're going to find a variety of things. When you look at the marketplace now, even with motor homes, they're leasing those out.
Okay.
Because they don't use them all the time. And they lease them out anyway. You can kind of make some money and put some jing in your pocket. That's good. And real estate, there's the advantages with real estate when you really look at it. You got number one, you got your interest write-offs. All right. So you take, your every $100 you can write off, $18 of that.
Well, what are some of the ways like people say I work a full-time job, make a pretty good income, but my debt is all messed up, and no way would I ever get a house. What are some ways to do that as far as fixing your credit to get a house, to become a homeowner?
Well, not being a credit manager, I just know there are some real simple rules. Number one, you want to establish credit. Well, how do you establish credit? You got to get credit. Now, when I was young buying a house, there was no such thing as credit. I'm kind of the pre-credit generation. They would always say, what collateral do you have?
Yeah.
I don't have any. What kind of down payment do you have? Well, I don't have that either. So it says you go home and you get a job, you earn some income, and then when you're done with your job, then you go home and you work on something that you want to do, and to start creating some equity, and then you kind of come in. And many would start off, they'd say, well, maybe we'll flip a home. We'll we'll find a home that we can get cheap. And there's a variety of ways that you can buy without a bank.
Yeah.
That's another thing to really kind of think of. There's called owner financing. And we're seeing a little bit more of that because, let's say these retirees, maybe they got a home down south. They say, you know what, we don't really need 2 homes. Let's lease or rent one out.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll sell on a contract for deed, which is simply a contract for
a
to
deed.
get a deed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. That's just basically what it is. And so then they'll lease that out. Now they can get 6-7% on their money versus 0.5% at a savings and loan or a bank or a credit union, that type of thing. So just being money smart. And the thing is, you don't have to have gobs of money to do it. There are people out there, you just need to do your due diligence, correct your credit, get a credit card. If you can't, let's say, for instance, you got bad credit. Right? So what you do is you get a prepaid credit card.
Yeah.
And basically you say, okay, Chris, you're giving me a credit card. I'm going to give you $300. And what's my limit on my credit card? And Chris is going to say $300. Right? And then, but you start establishing credit. You got records. And then eventually Chris will say to Bruce, he'll say, you know what? We're going to raise your credit limit to $500, then $1,000, then $1,500. And then you just establish that history. Now you go into the bank and you'll be surprised how your credit can soar just by doing that. And always, always, always pay off your credit card every month. Don't look at it as a money machine because it's not.
Yeah. You
would pay that completely off, or
I would never put more than a third of your credit limit. Say you got a $300 credit limit. I'd never charge more than $100.
Yeah.
And then pay that all off.
Pay that off at the end of every month.
Yeah, you got to pay your credit cards, people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but just for them to understand, how to build it.
Yeah, and what it was talking about is when you got to pay your credit card off. But what he's saying is that you got to pay off your balance, not just make the minimum payments that the credit card company gives you. You got to pay it off.
Oh, they'd love you to just pay the minimum. They would love it.
You'd be paying for the next 30 years.
Yes, absolutely. They'd love don't play their game.
Yeah,
Don't play their game.
So you said we're in a buyer's market now, because that's interesting, because our next door neighbors, they were looking for a house. Sellers market. Our next door neighbors, they were like, we were looking for a house, and they said we even offered $50,000 over what they were asking, and somebody beat them to it, and they finally got a house. They're moving out now, but they were very lucky, and they took a long time for them to get a house.
Well, you don't need a realtor to buy a house.
Yeah.
But I would highly recommend that you do, just because of the market that it's in. And that realtor will be continually on the search. There are programs that we have as realtors where we can search for a home even before it goes on the market.
Yeah.
Coming soon homes that we can make people aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And then don't mess around.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have competition. And pretty much so here in the metro market, it's really pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
But you got to also be careful, because there's a good time to buy and there's a good time to sell. Now, this is a great time to sell.
Yeah.
Because of the competition that's out there. It could be a horrible time to buy, because, again, talking about that balloon.
Well, Rach can contest this. I always love the real estate. Like, I watch judges shows, and I always watch the real estate shows and stuff like that. She's like, "Why are you watching this stuff?" But it's interesting because some of the things I see is like I'm watching this one real estate show, and they're trying to sell it for so much. Now, these are nice homes. These are like multi-million dollars homes. And you get these rich people going, well, I put $1 million into it. I want this money. And they're like, you can't get that money back.
That's right, yeah.
You put it in, but this is the most, we want a bigger offer. This is the offer I got. This is the best I can do, But why put $1 million into it? Well,
it has no bearing on what the house is worth.
Yeah.
I like watching the flipping shows.
Yeah.
I appreciate watching the flipping shows because, they pay attention to the market, and then they pay attention to, about the right time to buy. And then they're paying attention to what is popular at that time to know what to put into the house as far as what kind of cabinets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Gives you some ideas, what is going to be. Anytime you buy a house, you always want to buy it with the intention of selling it.
Yeah.
All right. That's what you want to look at it from that way. All right. If I do this, what is the likely? I remodeled the kitchen. What is the likelihood of getting my money back? Well, you'll probably get 75%, maybe 70% back if you're remodeling the kitchen to sell the home.
Right.
Don't expect to get 100% back because you will not.
Yeah.
On the other hand, they say, well, we put a new roof on. Well, good for you. What would happen to that house if you didn't?
Right.
All right. That does not enhance the value unless you put some super duper lifelong shingles. And you know what? From a buyer standpoint, they don't care about heavy duty nails.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Does it keep me dry? Keep the wind, from blowing in? And, that's what they really look at.
And also too, with the flipping show, some of the things they don't tell you is that, okay, you bought this house. This house may have been a meth house, so you got to gut out everything. And also too, if you got to replace the windows, we're looking at $200 a window. So if there's 10 windows in there, you're looking at $1,000 just in windows. So there's a lot of things that they don't tell you on these shows that, oh yeah, you could just flip this house, you could just do this. But yeah, there's a lot of things they don't tell you. And there's also too, there's a fix-it loan you can get for $10,000, but you got to pay that back within a year, Mm-hmm. And also too, while you're spending the 3 or 4 months fixing the house up to sell, guess who has to pay that mortgage?
Right. I would highly recommend, that when you talk to your lender, whether it's a bank, a credit union, or even, some investors out there, what you really want to do is you want to, see what the type of programs that are out there. And they change all the time. There's federal programs that come out to enhance sales, first-time homeowners, things of that nature. But those funds, those funds don't last forever. Rural development homes, they're only for a short period of time. And when those funds are depleted, then you have to wait for the next allocation, to come around. So it's just something to be aware of. Talk to your, whoever you're dealing with. And really what I would recommend, in terms of seeking financing, talk to a credit union, talk to your bank, and then talk to a mortgage lender. They're independent mortgage lenders.
A mortgage lender, independent mortgage lender.
And they have a variety. Generally, when you go to a bank, they're going to have their product that they're going to sell. And a lot of times it's limited to whatever they have. Whether it's a Wells Fargo, they got their product line. And you go to a U.S. bank, they got theirs. And it's somewhat limited. You go to a mortgage lender, and they're like an independent real estate agent. All right. That isn't really privy to just one product, but they go in and they shop out the loan and see what they can do.
Because my uncle lived in Kansas City, Missouri, and he's like, yeah, you see this house right there? He goes, that's in foreclosure, but you know what's wrong? I go, what? They can't find who owned it. Because a few years ago, they were like taking these loans and selling it to this person, to sell it to this person. Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Talking about foreclosure, I think it's self-explanatory. Emotionally wise, we were talking about, the joy of buying a house. Now, people in foreclosure are pretty distraught that their house is about to be foreclosed. What can they do to try and avoid?
Well, I would get, chummy with the lender and try to, he'll have some suggestions in terms of what you can do. Foreclosure, it's not really what it used to be, because there have been, it's been several incidents, and we may see more of that again. Mm-hmm. But it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I think that's what you really have to look at. Stuff happens in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just stuff. Okay. I myself had to go through a divorce. Did I like it? No. Was it fun? No. But you know what? I'm here.
Yeah.
And I reestablished my credit. Was it easy? No. But you know what? Life is fleeting, so don't sweat the little stuff. I always think of George Carlin, where he says, don't sweat the thunderstorms. There's a squadron of ICBMs coming our way. Just relax, and kind of work from there. So. Yeah, you want to maintain a good relationship with your lender. Just be straightforward, be honest, tell them where you're at.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here's where we're at. We want to keep the house. What can we do? And they'll let things slide, 3 months. Mm-hmm. I, in fact, when this all transpired to me 20 years ago, there was a moratorium on evictions. Mm-hmm. I was in my house for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I eventually sold it on a short sale, but I had a place to live for 4 years, God is good.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes he pays the rent. That just life is fleeting, and don't sweat it. It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, Chris, when we were looking at doing buying a car, he's like, I just want to outright buy it. He's like, my credit's not good. I don't want to do this. I've already had a car taken away from because I couldn't pay the payments. And now our credit is looking a lot better because we are doing payments on the car and we're paying it on time, and our credit's getting up. And, our next step is getting the money saved and getting ready to buy a house in the future and getting a second car into the house and starting to build us, and it's starting to make us emotionally happy that we are starting to build our house and build our future, together. And, it was a breaking point, I'm sure for him when, I lost my car.
Your relationship was tested because.
Well, no, this is before we started dating.
Yeah,
I had had a repo, and I was just like, you know what, next time I'll just buy it outright, But then our last car, we had a Honda Odyssey. That's why we just got this one. That one got messed up, so we just got this one. He read my credit. I was like, whoa.
Well, it was old.
Yeah, it was old. It was old. So I got my credit read. I'm like, whoa, it's that high? I didn't know it was that. As a matter of fact. And that's something else I want to talk to you. It's so high that I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was that high, that I actually have to start checking it like once a year just to make sure. And that's another thing I want to talk about is credit theft. And if you got a high credit score, I recommend you get it read like once or twice a year just to make sure nobody's using it or something like that.
That's one thing, especially, and the banks and the credit unions are really getting on top of that with their security systems because they're liable.
Yeah.
Now that the biggest thing is title theft. You'll hear that on the radio. Newt Gingrich will be talking about it.
Title theft.
Title theft, where they actually steal your name or steal your title of your house, and then they'll sell your house or borrow against it without you even knowing about it.
Oh yeah.
So you title insurance, not a bad deal. A lot of people think, the title companies take care of that. No, just get your own title insurance.
Well, that's the thing too, because when I watch those like judges shows and like they're like suing their landlord because this got wrecked or this, and the judge always says, "Did you have renter's insurance?" And when we got the place, our landlord said, "You got to get renter's insurance. I'm not renting to you unless you get renter's insurance," and we had to pay that every year, But again, it's protection, and like you said, they could just. Somebody take your house, take your title, and then just borrow against it, or
And generally, it takes 90 days for you to even find out about it.
Yeah.
So by that time, the perpetrator is in Mexico or
in
Brazil, or
long gone.
And then we're SOL. We can't do anything about that.
Yep, long gone. And that's why I say when I said, oh, my credit rating's that high, that's why I was like, hey, I got to start checking it once a year, like in the middle of the year, just make sure nobody's using it, and also too. I got an interesting story. A friend of mine, may rest in peace, my friend Donald, he had this guy that was buying one of his houses, and this guy had like 2 Escalades, was buying all these properties, and he wanted to buy a house from my friend Donald. And not only that, but he kept getting his credit rating he was buying more houses to pay for the other houses and all that. And every time he got his credit read, it kept going down. And I was like, man, financially, this guy's going to come to a screeching halt because all this stuff. I mean, you're buying another house to pay for this one, to pay for that one. I'm just like,
getting a loan to pay off a loan.
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it didn't. And he wanted to buy my friend's house, and my friend was like, okay, we'll come. He didn't show up. He gave him $1,000 earnest money. Then at the end of it all, my friend took the house off the market because he was going to rent it, and then finally said, well, I'm keeping the earnest money. So the guy tried to sue him. In court, he goes to court. The guy doesn't show up to court, and just like, so he got $1,000 for it. He goes, "I'm keeping it for my troubles,"
Oh, wow, yeah, stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's gonna be it's an entertaining market today.
Yeah.
So how's the market where you're at? How's the market looking right now? How's the market looking for you?
Well, good. I've actually been involved in some multi-unit properties in St. Cloud, and then I primarily spend my time in Alexandria selling Lakeshore.
Okay.
You know, that's the lake I've been trying to get you at. For
Yeah, I have
kinda
to apologize for that one. I had to work at the hospital today, so.
okay.
Yeah, she would love to come up just to relax. And He
Yeah.
wants us to bring the kids, which would be another headache.
Well, we just throw them in the lake.
I bet he'd appreciate that so much.
Jump in the lake, really? Okay.
Oh, did I push you a little too hard?
Well, our youngest son would be in there in a heartbeat. We didn't have to ask him. He'd get there. He'd probably come there in his swimming trunks and just right into the lake.
It's an interesting time in real estate, and don't be afraid of trying to get into the buyer cycle. Don't think about you're going to live in that first home forever, because you're not.
Yeah.
You'll probably live there 7 years tops.
Okay.
But what you do is you get in the buying cycle. Now, not only do you get the interest deductions on that, which lowers your income liabilities, you also get appreciation.
Yeah.
And even more so in challenging times like this, to generate some equity in your home, which again will take you to your next home.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
there you have it.
All right. And Bruce, is there any way we can get if people wanted to if you got any real estate questions, you want to know anything about real estate in the market, how to fix your credit or how to become a homeowner, you can talk to Bruce. Bruce loves to talk real estate, as you can see. So, Bruce, what you got some websites or something they can go to?
Right. Actually, they can go to brucesells.com.
Bruce Sells, SELLS.
.com. And on the website, there's a link that will take them into the MLS.
And okay,
And
the
really
MLS is the multi-listing service.
correct. He's been around, hasn't he?
Yeah, yes.
And they can actually search based on their parameters, and you don't have to worry about some salesman trying to schlep you a bill of goods
Okay.
that you're not ready for.
Mm-hmm.
I work with motivated sellers and motivated buyers, but in the meantime, I like to educate them on what to look for, how to shop, how to I lead them to the right type of financial tools that might work out best for them. Keeping in mind, I am not a financial expert. I don't give advice on that, but I'll lead you to the people that you need to talk to.
Oh yeah, he can definitely lead you to the people you need to. Now, another question I want to ask you: what happened to ARMs? Are ARMs like when I'm talking about an ARM? I'm talking about not
An adjustable rate mortgage.
adjustable rate mortgage that were big. And what people would do is like, I can't get you in, but I can get you in with an ARM, and you would pay the interest until your credit got better. You weren't paying on the principal; you were just paying the interest on the house, but it got you in the house, and then after your credit got better, you would refinance for a conventional loan. Are there still ARMs out there? Are they?
Well, there are still ARMs out there, but with interest rates where they're at right now, wouldn't even look at them. I mean, if you get an interest rate under 4%, you're fine. Now, when I got into the real estate industry, a third of all the homes across the country were 12% or higher.
Okay.
And then introduced contract for deeds. You saw a lot of those contract for deeds.
Yeah.
Part of the problem that we had, in 2007, 2008, that there were ARMs out there, and all of a sudden you got in at a low interest rate, but all of a sudden your mortgage payment went up and up and up until you couldn't pay for it anymore, and then you had a foreclosure.
Yeah.
And the bubble bust. So I would, just look at the rates where you're at right now. Another thing, as a first-time homeowner, let me say that again.
Homeowner.
That you want to be concerned with is mortgage insurance. And the banks, mortgage companies, they generally like a 20% down payment.
Okay.
However, if you don't have that, you can get in many times for 3.5%.
Okay.
Which on $100,000, $3,500, and you're in a home, and then but you'll have that mortgage insurance. You'll have principal, interest, tax, insurance, and mortgage insurance on your mortgage payment. But once you get to that 20% equity in the house, and you can generally do that over a couple of years, just with the rates, homeowners, your equity rising, that'll go away.
Yeah.
But you're in the house. Now you're ready for your second house. Now you got to call Bruce Brown again.
So once again, that's give us that once again. It's Bruce Brown.
BruceSells.com.
BruceSells.com.
If you got any questions, you can email me, bruce@brucesells.com. BruceSells.com.
Yeah, any questions about, as far as, like I said, your loan, how if you want to get in the house, any questions, just give him a call and he'd be glad to help you out.
Well, at another point, I'm a certified real estate specialist.
Okay.
What that simply means is I've been in the industry long enough. I'm in the top 1% of all realtors nationwide. And you don't have to come to Alexandria. You can give me a call. And what I will do is I'll refer you to a top agent, another CRS, certified real estate specialist. And you're going to be assured of getting somebody that has tenure, experience, and really can provide you with a level of professionalism that you wouldn't get otherwise. And it does not cost you 1 red cent more than somebody that just got in the industry.
Yeah. So if you got he's out of Alexandria, but if you got any questions, you're looking to buy a house, just go to BruceSells.com and he can hook you up, whatever city you're in, and he can take care of you and refer you to somebody who knows what they're doing. So whatever your questions are, anything, just look him up, BruceSells.com, SELLS, BruceSells.com. And Bruce, thanks for coming to the show today.
Hey, great to be part of the program. Love you guys.
Yep, love you too.
You guys have a great day.
Yep. And to all you mothers out there, we want to say Happy Mother's Day. Thanks a lot, Bruce.